The South Slavs came from the north in the 6th and 7th centuries, pouring out of the Carpathian forests, crossing the endless plains of what we now call Ukraine and Poland, and flowing down into the Balkans like water finding its level. They were not conquerors in the grand armored sense of the word. They were movers, settlers, people looking for somewhere worth staying. The Balkans gave them a reason to stay. The Dinaric Alps with their deep, shadow-filled gorges. The Morava River, cold and urgent, catching the light in the mornings. The rich earth around Niš and Belgrade, dark and generous. The kind of soil that rewards you if you treat it right. You looked at this landscape and you understood, at a bone level, why anyone who arrived here might simply decide never to leave. The Slavs who settled the Balkans did not come with maps or plans. They came with families, animals, seeds, and the ancient instinct of people who recognize good land when they feel it underfoot. And the land recognized them back. Before the Slavs, this land had already known Illyrians, Thracians, and Celts. Then Rome arrived and rebuilt everything in stone. They founded Singidunum on the Danube, a fortress that would one day become Belgrade. Some of Rome's greatest emperors drew their first breath in Balkan soil. Diocletian, who saved an empire from collapse. Constantine the Great, who changed the spiritual direction of Western civilization. This land had already shaped the world before the Slavs ever arrived. But one empire was not finished with it. Byzantium, old, golden, stubborn, never truly let go. The tension between the newly settled Slavs and the ancient imperial machine of Constantinople became the engine of a story that would run for centuries. From that friction, slowly and painfully, something new began to form. An identity, a nation, something that would one day be called Serbia. In the 9th century, the first Serbian chiefdoms, called Županijas, began taking shape among the mountains, small, raw, perpetually threatened. But the event that truly changed everything was not a military victory, it was a baptism. In 869 AD, the Serbian people formally embraced Christianity, and with that act, everything shifted. The church became the skeleton of Serbian identity. When kingdoms collapsed and foreign armies marched through, the church remained. It was the institution that held memory when everything else was burning. Then came the gift of the alphabet. Two Byzantine missionaries, the brothers Cyril and Methodius, created a writing system for the Slavic tongue. That script, eventually refined into what we now call Cyrillic, gave the Serbian language a permanent home on the page. And to have your language written down is to have a soul that can survive fire. To write is to say, we were here, we existed, we will not be forgotten. 3 pillars were now in place: land, faith, and language. Everything that followed would be built on them, or would try to destroy them. If Serbian history were a great theater piece, the Nemanjić dynasty would be its breathtaking second act. The moment when the audience goes quiet and forgets to breathe. Stefan Nemanja rose to power in the late 12th century and accomplished what no one before him had managed. He unified the scattered chiefdoms into a single state. He was a warrior, yes, but more than that, he was a politician of rare instinct. He knew when to fight Byzantium and when to smile at it. He built borders that had not existed before him. His son Rasko abandoned the royal inheritance, fled to the monasteries of Mount Athos, and became a monk. The world would come to know him as Saint Sava. In 1219, Saint Sava founded the independent Serbian Orthodox Church, answerable to neither Constantinople nor Rome. For a medieval state, this was an act of extraordinary courage. Serbia now had its own spiritual authority, its own chain connecting the people directly to heaven, unmediated by foreign hands. Saint Sava did not just give Serbia a church, he gave it a soul with a permanent address. Then came the 14th century and Stefan Dušan, the man they called the Tsar. He built an empire stretching from the Adriatic to the Aegean. Macedonia, Greece, Albania, parts of Bulgaria, all under the Serbian banner. In 1346, he crowned himself Emperor of the Serbs and Greeks, and his court dazzled ambassadors from across Europe. He also promulgated a legal code, hundreds of articles defining the rights and duties of citizens, nobility, and church. In a century when most of Europe was governed by custom and sword, Dušan was writing law. This was the summit, the highest point, and as all summits must, it gave way. Dušan died in 1355. Without him, the empire cracked. The nobility turned on itself. The unity he had built by sheer will dissolved into faction. And from the east, something enormous was approaching. Its name was Ottoman, June 15, 1389. The Field of the Blackbirds. Two armies face each other in the early morning light. On one side, Sultan Murad I and the Ottoman forces, perhaps the most formidable military machine alive. On the other, a coalition of Serbs, Bosniaks, Albanians, and Vlachs under Prince Lazar Hrebeljanović, men who understood they were standing at the edge of something irreversible. What exactly happened that day, historians still argue about. Both commanders died. Murad killed by a Serbian nobleman, Lazar captured and executed afterward. Neither side won cleanly, but the long consequence was unmistakable. Serbia gradually fell under Ottoman domination. What happened next is where the story becomes strange and extraordinary. The defeat at Kosovo was not buried. It was not filed away as one more military loss. Instead, it became a myth, a living myth that flowed through the Serbian people like blood itself. Wandering singer-poets traveled the mountains and plains carrying their one-stringed gussel, singing of Lazar, of his sacrifice, of a choice that heaven itself had witnessed. The story goes, on the eve of battle, an angel came to Lazar in a dream and offered him a choice, victory in this world or a heavenly kingdom, and Lazar chose heaven. Think about what this mythology does. It takes catastrophic military defeat and transforms it into spiritual triumph. It tells a conquered people, you are not weak. You chose something higher. Your suffering is not meaningless. It is sacred. For a people about to endure 5 centuries of foreign rule, this was not simply a comfort. It was a survival strategy dressed as poetry. What also made Kosovo unforgettable was its sheer human scale. This was not an abstract political defeat. It was personal. Every family in Serbia had someone who had stood on that field or knew someone who had. The myth that grew around it was not invented by poets alone. It was built by grief, and grief has a long memory. Serbia learned, better than almost any other nation on earth, how to make identity out of defeat. 500 years, not 5, not 50, 500 years under Ottoman rule. 15 generations of Serbs who were born into it, lived inside it, and died without ever knowing anything else. The Ottomans were not simply monsters, though they were capable of monstrous things. Their system was sophisticated, and by the standards of medieval and early modern governance, occasionally even rational. The Serbian Orthodox Church was allowed to continue, watched, taxed, restricted, but alive. That aliveness was everything. But the Dev Shirme, the collection, was a particular grinding cruelty. Young Christian boys were taken from their families, converted to Islam, and trained as janissaries, the elite soldiers of the Ottoman Sultan. Some rose to extraordinary ranks, but they arrived there having lost their mother's language, their father's faith, their own names. They were remade from the inside out. Those who could not accept this existence fled to the mountains. The Hajduks, outlaw fighters who lived in forests and peaks, who raided Ottoman supply lines and disappeared back into the wilderness, became the symbols of resistance, brigands or heroes, both depending on where you stood. The most dramatic exodus is called the Great Migration. In 1690, when the Ottomans retook the northern Balkans, tens of thousands of Serbs followed Patriarch Arsenia, the third Czarnoyevich, northward across the Sava and Danube into Habsburg territory. They carried language, faith, and memory with them like torches in a cave. Those three things, language, faith, and the memory of Kosovo, were what kept Serbian identity alive when every political structure around it had been dismantled. No sultan could legislate them away. No tax collector could confiscate them. They waited, and eventually they rose. 1804, spring, a spark. His name was George Petrovic, but history remembers him as Karađorđe, Black George, named for his dark complexion and his volcanic temperament. He was a pig trader with rough hands and no patience for half measures. Nobody expected a man like this to lead the greatest uprising against Ottoman rule in Serbian history. Maybe that was exactly why he succeeded. The first Serbian uprising exploded in 1804 with the fury of a people who had waited too long. For the first time in centuries, Serbs were masters of their own land. Karađorđe ruled with the absolutism of a man who understood that mercy in a revolution is often just another word for weakness. He was decisive to the point of brutality. There is a story, one of the most haunting in Serbian history, that he killed his own father rather than allow him to surrender to the Ottomans. Whether precisely true or shaded by legend, it captures something real about the man. He stood in the border between heroism and obsession, and he did not look back. The uprising failed eventually. The Ottomans returned. Karađorđe fled, but the ember did not die. In 1815, Miloš Obrenović launched the second uprising, more patient, more cunning. Where Karađorđe had been a hammer, Miloš was a chess player. He negotiated, he maneuvered between the Ottomans, the Russians, and the Austrians. And in 1830, Serbia gained autonomy. In 1878, after the Russo-Ottoman War, the Congress of Berlin recognized Serbia as a fully independent nation. A people that spent 500 years underground stepped into daylight. Serbia earned that daylight through grief and persistence, and the stubbornness of people who refused to believe their story was over. But independence, as Serbia was about to discover, is not peace. It is simply the freedom to face new kinds of suffering. The 20th century walked into Serbia wearing bloody boots. The Balkan Wars of 1912 and 1913 saw Serbia join Greece, Bulgaria, and Montenegro to drive the Ottomans from Europe. They succeeded. Then they immediately turned on each other over the spoils. The Balkans teaches you this lesson early. Alliances form for a purpose and dissolve the moment that purpose is achieved. Then came Sarajevo. June 28, 1914, Gavrilo Princip, a young Serbian nationalist burning with grievance, fired 2 shots on a street corner. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, died alongside his wife. 2 bullets, 10 million dead. The First World War had begun. Serbia paid an almost unimaginable price. Pressed between Austrian and Bulgarian forces, its army was pushed into catastrophic retreat. In the winter of 1915 to 1916, in conditions of staggering cold and starvation, the Serbian army crossed the Albanian mountains to reach the Greek island of Corfu. Thousands died on that march. Those who survived fought until the war's final day. When the accounting was done, Serbia had lost more than a quarter of its entire population. 1 in 4 people, men, women, children, simply gone. No combatant nation in Europe suffered proportional losses anywhere near that scale. Yet Serbia emerged on the winning side. From the wreckage, the Kingdom of Yugoslavia was born, the land of the South Slavs, Serbs, Croats, Slovenes, Bosniaks, Macedonians, Montenegrins, all under one roof, one flag, one impossible dream. In practice, it was a pressure cooker. Croats felt Serbia was quietly colonizing Yugoslavia rather than sharing it. Serbs felt their wartime sacrifice was never properly acknowledged. King Alexander declared dictatorship in 1929 and was assassinated in 1934. Then came the Second World War, German occupation, and the Croatian Ustasha. Fascists who murdered hundreds of thousands of Serbs, Jews, and Roma in concentration camps. The wounds never fully healed. In some rooms, they are still bleeding. In 1945, Tito emerged victorious. Yugoslavia was reborn under communism and a singular, strange personality. Josip Broz Tito was one of the most peculiar leaders of the entire 20th century. Communist by conviction, but ungovernable by temperament. A dictator whose death was mourned with genuine tears by millions who were not simply afraid of being seen, not crying. In 1948, he did something that required a particular, almost reckless courage. He stood up to Stalin and said no. Yugoslavia would not be another Soviet satellite. It would go its own road. Stalin reportedly threatened assassination. Tito's legendary reply contained essentially one message: stop sending men to kill me. If you send one more, I will not need to send a second. Yugoslavia under Tito was neither east nor west. Its economy had a cautious openness that most communist nations never managed. Yugoslavs traveled, read foreign books, watched foreign films. Tito co-founded the non-aligned movement, positioning Yugoslavia as a leader among nations that refused to choose a Cold War side. It was an extraordinary act of independent will, but he built everything around himself. He was the keystone. Remove the keystone and the arch falls. Tito died in 1980. Yugoslavia tried to govern itself through a rotating presidency among its 6 republics. It worked, barely, for a decade. Then the economy collapsed. Inflation reached catastrophic numbers. And in that vacuum, nationalism woke up again. Slobodan Milošević was a banker from Belgrade with a lawyer's face and a demagogue's instincts. In 1987, he attended a rally of Kosovo Serbs who felt abandoned by the Yugoslav state. When police pushed the crowd back, Milošević stepped forward and said the words that launched his career. "Nobody should dare to beat you." 5 words, like a match dropped on dry grass. Milošević rose to the Serbian presidency and attempted to bend Yugoslavia to Serbian will. Slovenia declared independence in 1991, then Croatia, then Bosnia-Herzegovina. Each declaration lit a fire. The wars that followed were among the most savage Europe had seen since 1945. The siege of Sarajevo lasted 4 years, the longest siege of a capital city in modern warfare. Citizens ran across streets under sniper fire to collect water from broken pipes. Children were killed in their bedrooms. Hospitals ran without electricity. The city had hosted the Winter Olympics just 8 years before. Then Srebrenica, July 1995. Forces under Ratko Mladic separated Bosniak men and boys from their families and murdered 8,000 of them in days. The International Court of Justice later named it precisely genocide, the largest single massacre in Europe since the Second World War, carried out under a Serbian military banner. This page cannot be turned without being read. It stands there in the record, demanding acknowledgement. Not all Serbs, not all of Serbian society, but these forces under that flag did this. In 1999, NATO bombed Serbia for 78 days. Bridges fell, buildings crumbled, the lights went out. The Serbian people felt, with a grief that cut deep, that the whole world had decided they were the villain in a story they understood entirely differently from the inside. But Milosevic's fall came not from bombs, it came from his own people. The Otpor movement, young students with a clenched fist as their symbol, filled the streets with protest and mockery and refusal. On October 5th, 2,000, hundreds of thousands poured into Belgrade. The parliament was stormed. Milosevic fell. In 2001, he was handed to The Hague, where he died before a verdict was reached. Serbia turned a page. The question was what would be written on the next one. On February 17, 2008, Kosovo declared independence. For Serbs, this was not simply politics. It felt like an amputation. Kosovo is where the medieval Serbian state was born. The monasteries of Dečani, Gračanica, the Patriarchate of Peć. These are not merely old buildings. They are the heartbeats of Serbian spiritual civilization, preserved across centuries of occupation and war. The Field of the Blackbirds, where Lazar fell in 1389, is there. To say Kosovo is just a region to a Serbian person is like saying Jerusalem is just a city. The United States and most of the West recognized Kosovo's independence. Serbia, Russia, and China did not. The wound stays open. Serbia today is a country balanced between multiple possible futures. Since 2012, it has been an official EU candidate. Negotiations continue. Slow, conditional, contested. President Vučić has accumulated significant power, and the independent press operates under pressure. Yet in 2024 and 2025, the largest street protests in years filled Belgrade's boulevards with young Serbs who want something different, a country that means something different than it has sometimes meant. Belgrade today pulses with creative energy. Its music scene, its galleries, its cafes hum with the restless electricity of a city on the edge of transformation. Serbian young people travel, speak multiple languages, want to live in a Serbia that is part of the larger world. And yet they carry Kosovo. They carry 1389 and 5 centuries of darkness, and the medieval monasteries and the crimes of the 90s. All of it simultaneously, all in a single national soul that somehow has not shattered under the weight. To be Serbian is to hold all of this at once. The summit of Dušan's empire and the ruins of the 90s, the epic poetry and the war crimes tribunals, the ancient monasteries and the NATO bombs. All of it, always. And perhaps that is the most remarkable thing about Serbia. Not the empire it once built or the battles it has won and lost, but its sheer, stubborn refusal to be extinguished. The determination to remain, to endure, to insist that its story is not finished yet.